Let me say something that most people are afraid to admit, even to themselves. Some people cannot sleep in silence, not because they like noise, not because they are addicted to distraction, but because the moment the world goes quiet, their mind becomes louder than any sound ever could. In the first few seconds of lying in bed, when the lights are off and everything slows down, something inside them wakes up. Thoughts rush in, memories replay, emotions rise without warning. And suddenly, silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels dangerous. If silence has ever made your chest feel heavy at night, this video is about you. To the outside world, silence is calm. It's relaxation. It's rest. But for certain minds, silence removes the last barrier, holding their thoughts back. During the day, noise protects them. Conversations, movement, background sounds, constant stimulation keep their inner world contained. But at night, when that noise disappears, their brain turns inward with full force. And what it finds is not emptiness. It finds depth, too much depth. People who can't sleep without noise are often misunderstood. They're told they overthink. They're told they should just relax. But psychology shows that their brain is not wired for instant stillness. Their nervous system stays alert when there is nothing external to focus on. Silence does not signal rest to them. Silence signals exposure. It tells the brain there is nothing left to distract from unresolved thoughts, unprocessed emotions, and unfinished mental loops. These individuals don't lack control over their mind. Their mind simply doesn't shut off automatically. It transitions slowly. When silence comes too suddenly, their thoughts flood in all at once. Every conversation they replayed mentally but never spoke about. Every emotion they pushed aside during the day. Every what if they avoided thinking about. Silence becomes a spotlight shining directly into their inner world. Psychologically, the brain seeks regulation. It wants something stable to anchor itself to. For some people, that anchor is silence. For others, it is gentle, predictable sound, white noise, rain, a fan, distant voices from a television. These sounds are not distractions. They are regulators. They give the brain a constant external rhythm so it doesn't collapse inward on itself. This is why noise feels comforting rather than stimulating. It creates a sense of presence, a feeling that something is there, steady, and familiar. Silence, on the other hand, can feel like being alone with thoughts that are too loud to manage all at once. And when the mind feels overwhelmed, sleep becomes impossible. People who experience this are often deeply introspective. Their thoughts are layered, emotional, complex. They don't just think once. They think in loops. They analyze meaning, tone, intention, and consequence. Their mind is always connecting dots, even when their body is exhausted. During the day, this depth can be productive. At night, without boundaries, it becomes overwhelming. Silence removes structure. Noise provides it. Even a low hum or distant voice gives the mind something predictable to lean on, something that prevents thoughts from spiraling too deeply inward. That's why complete silence can feel suffocating, not because the person fears quiet, but because their mind has no limits when left alone. There is also an emotional layer to this psychology. Silence often forces confrontation with feelings that were postponed, with sadness that never had time to surface, with anxiety that stayed hidden under productivity. Noise delays that confrontation just enough for rest to happen. It softens the intensity of internal awareness. So when someone says they can't sleep without noise, they are not saying they need stimulation. They are saying their mind needs containment. Their thoughts need edges. Their emotions need distance. Noise gives them that space. It doesn't erase their thoughts. It lowers their volume enough for sleep to arrive. And once you understand this, the behavior stops looking strange. It starts looking adaptive. Because for these minds, silence is not neutral. Silence is loud. Silence is revealing. Silence is too honest. And noise, quiet background noise becomes the bridge between consciousness and rest. There is something deeper beneath the need for noise at night, something psychology doesn't explain in one sentence, because this habit is rarely just about sleep, it's about history, about the way the mind learned to survive when things felt uncertain. Many people who can't sleep in silence didn't always need sound. They learned to need it. And the reason usually traces back to moments when silence didn't feel safe. For some, silence meant loneliness, empty rooms, long nights where no one checked in, where thoughts had too much space and emotions had no witness. For others, silence meant tension, the kind of quiet that comes before arguments, before raised voices, before emotional unpredictability. In those environments, silence trained the nervous system to stay alert, to wait, to prepare, to brace for impact. And once the brain learns that pattern, it doesn't forget it easily. Psychologists call this hypervigilance. It's when the nervous system remains on guard even when there is no immediate danger. During the day, movement and sound mask it. At night, silence removes the cover. The brain starts scanning internally for threats instead. Thoughts replace sounds. Worries replace conversations. The mind becomes the environment. And for some people, that environment is overwhelming. This is why noise becomes soothing. It mimics presence. It creates the illusion that you are not alone in the moment. A television playing quietly in the background, the hum of a fan, the sound of rain. These are not random choices. They are predictable, repetitive, and non-demanding. They don't require response. They don't introduce new information. They simply exist. And that consistency tells the brain it's okay to relax. People who sleep with noise often struggle with emotional suppression during the day, not because they want to, but because they have learned to function by postponing feelings. They stay busy. They stay productive. They stay mentally engaged. But when night comes and silence removes all distractions, those postponed emotions resurface. Noise acts like a buffer. It slows the emotional rise just enough to allow rest. There's also a strong connection to imagination and internal dialogue. Many of these individuals have vivid inner worlds. Their thoughts are not simple sentences. They are scenes, conversations, scenarios that play out in detail. Silence gives those internal narratives full control. Noise interrupts them gently, preventing the mind from fully immersing in its own stories. This is not weakness, it's sensitivity, a heightened responsiveness to internal and external stimuli. Highly sensitive nervous systems absorb more information during the day, even unconsciously. Tone shifts, facial expressions, emotional undercurrents in conversations. By nighttime, the mind is overloaded. Silence forces it to process everything at once. Noise slows that process. Another factor psychology points to is control. Silence feels uncontrollable. You cannot shape it. You cannot interact with it. Noise, even passive noise, feels chosen, intentional. It gives the sleeper a sense of agency, a small decision that creates comfort. That sense of control is often what allows the body to finally let go. Many people who can't sleep in silence are also deeply self-aware. They reflect constantly. They question their decisions. They replay moments, wondering if they said too much or too little. Silence amplifies self-judgment. Noise reduces it. It gives the mind something neutral to hold on to, while exhaustion takes over. Interestingly, studies on sleep psychology show that the brain does not actually require silence to rest. It requires predictability. Sudden sounds disrupt sleep. Steady sounds support it. That's why consistent noise helps some people sleep deeper than silence ever could. Their brain doesn't relax in emptiness, it relaxes in rhythm. And then there is fear. Not always obvious fear, not panic, but subtle discomfort with being alone with one's thoughts. This fear is often misinterpreted as anxiety, but it's closer to emotional intensity. These individuals feel deeply. They remember vividly. They connect patterns quickly. Silence brings all of that forward without filter. So noise becomes a companion. Not loud, not demanding. Just enough to keep the mind from collapsing inward. Just enough to remind the nervous system that it is safe to rest. What looks like dependence is often adaptation, a solution the brain created to protect itself from overload. And once you see it that way, the habit stops being strange. It becomes intelligent. Because sleep is not just physical rest, it's psychological surrender. And some minds need guidance to reach that place. But here's the part most people never talk about. The need for noise at night is not really about sound. It's about what silence brings with it. Silence removes distraction. And when distraction disappears, the mind is forced to face itself. For some people, that meeting is calm. For others, it's intense. Because silence doesn't just quiet the world, it amplifies the inner voice. When someone lies awake in silence, they don't just hear nothing. They hear memory, regret, unfinished conversations, emotions they didn't have time to feel during the day. Silence becomes a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look into it without preparation. Noise softens that reflection. It blurs the edges just enough to make it bearable. Psychologically, this connects to how the brain handles unresolved emotional content. The mind is not designed to shut off suddenly. It transitions. It needs a bridge between awareness and rest. For many people, silence is too abrupt of a transition. Noise becomes that bridge, a gradual descent rather than a sudden drop. This is why people who can't sleep without noise often fall asleep faster with familiar sounds. Not because the sound is interesting, but because it's emotionally neutral. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't trigger memory. It simply occupies just enough mental space to prevent emotional flooding. There's also a deeper identity layer here. Many of these individuals grew up becoming emotionally independent early. They learned to self-soothe, to rely on internal coping mechanisms rather than external reassurance. Noise becomes one of those mechanisms. A constant, predictable presence that doesn't disappoint, leave, or misunderstand. And yet, the world often labels this habit as strange, as dependency, as weakness. But psychology tells a different story. This is regulation. This is adaptation. This is a nervous system choosing comfort over chaos. The same way some people meditate in silence, others regulate through sound. Neither is wrong. They're simply different languages of calm. What's interesting is that many of these people are incredibly introspective. They think deeply. They feel intensely. They notice things others miss. During the day, this depth can feel like strength. At night, without structure, it can feel overwhelming. Noise becomes structure, a gentle container for a very active mind. Silence is powerful, but it's also revealing. It doesn't hide anything. And when you've spent a lifetime managing emotions quietly, the idea of facing them all at once can feel unsafe. Noise allows rest without confrontation. It gives the mind permission to pause instead of analyze. But here's the quiet truth. Over time, many people who rely on noise at night slowly build a different relationship with silence. Not by forcing it, not by removing sound suddenly, but by understanding what silence actually brings up for them. Because silence isn't the enemy, it's the messenger. Often, behind the discomfort is a need that went unmet, a feeling that never had space, a version of themselves that learned to stay alert instead of relaxed. And when those layers are acknowledged, silence becomes less threatening, not empty, just still. Until then, noise remains a companion, not because they are broken, but because they are aware of how their mind works, aware of what overwhelms them, aware of what helps them rest. So if you're someone who can't sleep without noise, understand this. There is nothing wrong with you. Your mind simply doesn't shut down on command. It transitions carefully, thoughtfully, protectively. And that need for sound is not weakness, it's intelligence trying to rest. And if you're someone who sleeps easily in silence, remember this. Not everyone experiences quiet the same way. For some, silence is peace. For others, it's intensity. And psychology isn't about forcing sameness. It's about understanding difference. In the end, sleep is not just about closing your eyes. It's about feeling safe enough to let go. And however the mind finds that safety, whether through silence or sound, it deserves understanding, not judgment. Because sometimes, noise isn't an escape from thoughts, it's a way to soften them. And sometimes, the people who need sound the most at night are the ones who carry the most inside them during the day. Silence will always be there, but rest comes when the mind is ready. And until then, a little noise can feel like kindness.